It's a great way to start it. Morning. Just got up a little bit ago. Already wasted way too much time online looking at stuff. Um, like, for example, someone's been reading my book the last few mornings before I even get up. And I get up when it's not even morning yet. So that's awesome. It's hit start all. So I'm also on the Twitch and the Kick. There I am. And suddenly I'm really tempted to check out Kick for some reason. See what kind of viewership I've been getting over there. Sorry. Still morning. Still waiting for my coffee to cool enough to drink. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's there. Yeah. Okay. That's God. OBS is so weird. It won't let me put it on just part of a screen. Like it's got to take up the majority of it. It might be the YouTube chat that never gets filled. So another morning. I meant to do some writing on this last night online. Unfortunately, I didn't. Afternoons lately, I guess I do partial writing, outline writing, just idea writing while I am watching TV or playing video games or something like that. Apparently, that's supposed to be better for people with ADHD, especially if I'm experiencing any kind of like pressure or burnout or anything like that. But for actually trying to get things done early in the morning before there's any distractions, before I've plugged myself into anything else, is usually the best time. At a minimum, I want to get 500 words done. 500 words a day is it's enough for me to not feel like crap for not getting stuff done. Finishing the chapter today would be so much better. This was originally supposed to be chapter 4 out of 17 in total. And I've added chapters since then. It's become emergent. I've decided the word count that I've been looking at, like I wanted to go between 3,000 and 4,000 words per chapter. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to give myself a minimum of like 2,000, maybe 2,500, like I did for the first book, which is about 20 minutes to read out loud. Try to keep them relatively short. I'm now approaching my chapters with the idea that if I can get just one more, like if I can get that mentality out of people while they're reading it, where they read the chapter, they're thinking of stopping, but then they like flip and they see how it's only, oh, that's not too long, just one more. That's the approach that I'm taking with this, because the book is it's a little different. Like when I was critiquing it yesterday with ChatGPT, it mentioned like it felt too much like a win in the beginning of the book. Like there was no consequence. It was too happy. There was no consequence. And one of my viewers even said that as I was writing it. Like it doesn't seem like there's any consequence to these characters' actions, which is coming. I mean, everything sort of falls apart. But I came back later and I in the same chat and I was like, well, this is book 2, right? So like everything that feels like a victory lap, as far as the feast and everything being so happy and everything being so accepted, like that's earned because of all of book 1. And then it has to fall apart. So it has to feel like security and safety and then kind of shamble down a little bit. And I do got to make Garth less of an asshole initially. Like he's too obviously a bad guy for sure. I gotta make his illusion work better. Pacing one word. 624 words. Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, tempted to go see why my bunny's being such a little dick. Meow. Hi, kitty kitty. Ugh. Meow. Hi. Hi. I wish you were a nicer kitty. I wish I could pick you up and hold you in my lap. Can I pick you up and try putting you in my lap? Oh, come here, kitty kitty. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let's put you on camera. There. Yeah. Let's briefly just put you on camera. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Yeah. Yeah. And now Lulabelle hears me loving you and just can't have that. So she's got to come out. Hello. Hey, Mischief. Hi. What time is it? Should we feed the bunny? I might need to feed the bunny. 624 words. It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's see. What have I done in my notes? The next morning, Garrett is again in the hallway. Check. It's early as he is hoping to beat Garth to his father's bedroom. Check. Arista has gone to the shore again with Miri in tow. Check. As he is nearly running to get to his father's room, he feels a hand seize him as he passes a doorway. Not check. So this over a page is 3 of my notes, and I had not included Seth Rael in my outline, but I felt like he needed some time in the book. Like the reader needed to have some interaction with him because we've mentioned him, but we haven't brought him in. Same thing with like Dunrick in the last chapter. Was it the last chapter? Yeah, it was the last chapter. Like Dunrick's been mentioned a couple of times, and it's Chekhov's gun. Like if you mention something, like if you have a gun, it should shoot someone in the next 3 days, basically. So if I'm mentioning characters, I have to pull them into the story soon. I need more coffee. Or I'm gonna be petty. I'm gonna go to Amazon Kindle again real quick. Curious. I'm just curious. Okay. Nothing's changed. But someone's been reading my book the past few mornings, and that's a good feeling. Someone read 84 pages yesterday. Someone's already read 43 pages today. I don't know, maybe it's multiple people, but this month, like just in these first 5 days, somebody has read 194 pages, which by my math on Kindle, I think it comes out to 187 pages, and then there's the free sample that you can read the first 7 pages of the book just on the Amazon page without buying it. Like you get the first 7 pages as a sample, which means it's possible somebody has read my whole book in the last 5 days, which is designed to be a quick read. It's intentional. And then someone's at least checked out the sample. So it feels really good. It feels really good. I mean, I got a whole 93 cents from that. That's how much I make, which it would be, I think 90 cents is what I would make if it was just the 187 pages. Yeah, that's about right. So Kindle Unlimited, even though I wrote my book for Kindle Unlimited, it doesn't pay shit. I make less than $1 every time somebody finishes my book on Kindle Unlimited. That sucks. Whereas if somebody buys the ebook, I make like $2.50, and if somebody buys the paperback, I make like $2.75. So I really don't make shit, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. At this point, I just need people to read the book. Even if it's for free and I don't make money, I'm better off with people reading the book than I am with it disappearing online. That's the way I gotta look at it right now. I just have to get it out there. I'm really tempted at some point, maybe today, probably not today, but at some point, sitting down and reading the first book through on this stream. Like, reading the hard copy out loud to people. I think that would be a worthwhile thing to do. I think I should save that for when I finish this book. Because the plan is I'm going to write this and then do the editing. And first you do the editing for content to make any little adjustments that you need to. Like really I should have a whole note page going of things that I know I need to add. Like I need storm references in the first ones. I got to break up my chapters properly. I got to get everything sort of like formatted and put into a single file. And then that's when I'm going to go through and I'm going to check, first off, just the language of it. So like going through it page by page and making sure that I'm not starting my paragraphs with the same word over and over again in repetition. Reading it out loud on camera. That's one way that I do my edits, because that way I hear how it sounds, I hear the flow, and if something just kind of like sticks out to me, I can make my adjustments and change that. Then there's going through and there's doing the grammar checks, making sure that I've got my commas right, my spacing right in all my sentences. Yeah, so at least 3 passes, and I use ChatGPT. Well, at first I do the read out loud one where I get the audible type stuff. Then I go through and I use ChatGPT and I check for like grammar and repetition and that sort of thing, because your brain goes kind of numb when you just keep going over the same stuff over and over and over again. And then do a final like polish check. And then pass the whole thing off to my wife, which I don't know, the way things are going, I hope she's still my wife by that point. I hope we're still together. Because end of February, we're coming up on the anniversary of when my cousin asked to stay with us. And I should have said no. I should have said no. I should have let him sleep in the fucking street instead of giving him my bed, giving him my space, giving him access to my house. I should have said no. I should have been selfish. I should have been cruel. I should have been protective. I should have been petty. I should have been a bad person. I should not tried to help out a family member and help out his mother and help out my family. And I hate saying that, because you're supposed to help people in need, but I should not have helped him. Because he stole from me, he stole my wedding ring, which I just took as an omen that my marriage was in trouble. But I was so pissed I couldn't stop raging about it. I couldn't stop dissociating from it. I couldn't stop being upset about it. I still struggle with it. I still have to pray for forgiveness every fucking night. So we're coming up on the year anniversary of that. And then I had months of trying to process it and trying to deal with all the anger that I've had from that, because I've had addicts steal from me before. And that, just my anger, my disassociation, my being pissed about it, eroded my marriage. She couldn't watch me go through another phase of that. So we're coming up on that anniversary, and then we're coming up on the anniversary of the last 4 months that I had in my marriage. March, April, May, June. Yeah. Time when I wasn't working, because I fucked up my shoulder, I fucked up my knees, and then I fucked up my marriage. Mojo. And then she left. She left after our 20-year anniversary. She just couldn't do it anymore. I guess I don't blame her, but I was trying. I was genuinely trying. But if we're still married, then she'll read this and suggest any changes that I need to make and catch anything that I might have missed. And that'll be my one beta read. And then I do the formatting and I publish. And that'll be fun. This is long enough, and it seems like it might be long enough. Like not a novella, but a novel length, and I'm doing a table of contents. I gotta finish the art. I gotta finish the tagline. I gotta promote this. But yeah, okay, let's check the time. 7:01. Private sector hiring slumped in January, adding just 2,000 or 22,000 jobs. 8 college majors that often lead nowhere after graduation. Is yours one? Let's see. Starting to look like AI has killed the entire model of college. Stupid articles that just lead to fucking ads. Majors to avoid. Public safety, recreation and wellness, business, humanities, visual arts, journalism and communications, psychology, and social sciences. Nice. Majors to consider: engineering, math-heavy business, architecture, education, math and statistics, computer science, physical science, public administration, and social service. Okay. Alright, back to it. I got distracted wanting to see if anyone else had read any more pages or if I'd managed to sell any more copies today. I haven't sold any copies of my book so far this month. I'm really hoping that picks up. Anyways, I should get back to it. Like I said, 500 words is a good minimum. do that confidence check real quick, even though I really don't need it, but we'll another new window. Billie Eilish's Grammy speech fuels land dispute backlash. What's on your mind today? Get rid of the memory full. We know the memory is full. Novel plot review. Control V. Let's see what it says about what I got so far. Just because I'm curious. This is good, Jack, and more importantly, it's on plot. You have not lost the story. What you're feeling right now is fatigue, proximity, not failure. I'll break this into 3 parts. Big picture, reassurance, are you on track? What this passage is doing well and why it matters. Targeted craft notes, where to tighten, not add. No rewriting unless you ask for it. Are you still on track? Yes, very clearly. This passage does 3 critical things at once. Advances the mystery, wine, timing, suspects, opportunity. Centers Garrett's moral core. He wants time, not power. Keeps Arista plausibly suspicious by absence, not behavior. The last point is key. Her being gone works here. It creates opportunity, witnesses who are not her, rumors that can be shaped later. You're not meandering, you're braiding threads. Why this passage does especially well. Garrett's POV is intimate again. You are right to want this. Bare feet, undone shirt, anchored back into the mattress by Arista, waking in panic. That's not fluff, that's emotional contrast. It makes the hallway tension sharper. The wine is now a recurring motive. Excellent. You've done something important without underlining it. Yesterday, wine under the bed. Today, wine leaving the chamber. Always wine, weakening, slippage, influence. This gives the mystery texture, not just clues. Sathriel's introduction is perfectly ominous. This paragraph is doing a lot of work. Like Kayleen, he seemed untouched, unbothered by the years. Unlike the priestess, he carried each one on his shoulders with a resentment to the passage of time, however. That single contrast aligns him with Kayleen, separates him morally, makes him neither villain nor safe. That's exactly where a good suspect should live. Craft notes, tighten, don't expand. You don't need more beats here. You need compression in a few places so the tension sharpens. Watch repetition of intent. Easy trim later. You explain Garrett's reasoning clearly, maybe too clearly in places. I tend to do that. For example, these ideas appear more than once. Garth wants to weaken the king. Garrett blames himself for his absence. He wants time, not the crown. All good ideas, just flag them for line-level pruning later, not now. You're drafting correctly by letting them spill. Sentence length versus urgency. When Garrett is running, some sentences are still quite long. This one is beautiful, but a little stately for the moment. All this bathed in torrents of golden dawn and night's lingering shadow. That's not wrong, just note that later you might break one long descriptive sentence per paragraph. Let breathless movement dominate. Again, later edit, not now. The hand grabbing at the end is a strong cutoff. This is a very good chapter hinge. 2 things it accomplishes. Stops the chase before revelation, introduces a new complication through touch. And this line is doing quite emotional work. The familiarity of the shape reminded him of Arista's first touch. That means Arista haunts his body even when absent. Whoever this is will be measured against her immediately. That's a smart romance mystery overlap. Important reassurance, please read this twice. What you're experiencing right now is the midpoint doubt of a sequel, not loss of plot. You are managing legacy characters, layering suspicion without revealing truth, deepening emotional stakes rather than escalating explosions. That always feels flat from inside, but from outside, this reads controlled, intentional, and confident. You are not quitting territory, you are in the tunnel where the walls feel closest. What you're experiencing right now is the midpoint doubt of a sequel, not loss of plot. You are managing legacy characters, layering suspicion without revealing truth, deepening emotional stakes rather than escalating explosions. That always feels flat from inside. From outside, this reads controlled, intentional, confident. Oh, you're not quitting territory. You are in the tunnel where the walls feel closest. What I recommend next, very concrete. Finish Chapter 4 draft in form today. Even if messy. Do not reread earlier chapters tonight. When tired, ask me for a single paragraph transition, a dialogue beat, a tension check. Not ideas for the whole story, just the next stone to step on. Yeah. If you want next, I can do a single pass tension map for chapters 2 to 4, flag where suspicion naturally rises and falls, or help you write the Jocelyn scene without tipping into melodrama. You're doing real work here. Keep going. I'm okay with little melodrama. I want Jocelyn's scene to be tragic and funny at the same time. And mostly on the reader's perspective. One thing I hate about ChatGPT is they're constantly doing updates and changes on it. So some days you hit enter and it just takes you down a paragraph for your entry, and other days you hit enter and it enters it in. And yesterday it was creating another line. Today it's entering it in. I spent more time with it where it actually like enters. And I prefer that because that's what I've grown accustomed to. It's annoying at times, but it's what I'm used to. I really got to shave today. This facial hair is pissing me off. Anyways, good. That instinct is exactly right for Jocelyn. What you want here is melodrama that thinks it's romance. Yes, if some readers laugh and others ache, you've nailed it. Exactly. Tragedy and comedy are the same emotion viewed from different moral distances. Right. Let me give you a clearer tonal target, then practice craft levers that you can use while drafting so it doesn't tip too far in either direction. I'm going to grab more coffee. And really, I should feed my beasties. Oh, I think I might do that. I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back. I'm going to keep streaming. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to at least... Oh! Pop my hips. Ooh. I'll be back. Oh. Rabbit. Oh, you rabbit. Yeah, I'm going to feed you extra this morning, dude. I don't know why. Just him. There you go. Here's your lettuce. Good boy. Make sure you eat too often. Good boy. You Alright, let's get back to it. Okay, let's see what notes are to give me. The tonal target, this matters. Jocelyn should feel like the heroine of her own overwrought romance. Absolutely. Trapped in a marriage she frames as bloodless and cruel. Yeah. Convinced Garrett is the true story she was denied. Yep. But the narrative should never endorse her framing. That's where the tragic, funny split lives. How to make it tragic and funny at once. Let Jocelyn speak in absolutes. Absolutes are funny because they're wrong, tragic because she believes them. Examples of patterns, not lines you must use. I have always loved you. Oh, I'm using that. No one has ever touched me like this. That's in my notes. This is the only thing that's ever felt real. I like that. Readers will clock. Always, ever, really? Jocelyn won't. Garrett's kindness is the accelerant. This is crucial. Garrett comforts her, listens, apologizes, explains gently. To Jocelyn, every one of those is confirmation. That's where comedy creeps in. He thinks he's de-escalating. She thinks he's choosing her. The tragedy is that his goodness is what hurts her most. Yep. Yep. That's what I have planned in the outline. Physical mismatch. Yeah. Physical mismatch sells the scene. You're already doing this well. Lean into him trying to create space, her pressing closer, him holding her shoulders to stop her, her interpreting restraint as dominance. From her point of view, passion. From the reader's, alarming, absurd, and sad. Yes. That duality is gold. The sexualized sounds are not sexy, they're performative. This is important for tone. If she moans, gasps, or cries out, it should feel too loud, slightly out of sync with what's happening, suspiciously convenient for eavesdroppers. That makes it funny to some readers, devastating to others, and dangerous in story. She is unconsciously writing a narrative others will believe. The hallway aftermath is the punchline and the wound. You've planned this beautifully already. Garrett, torn shirt, mussed hair, mortified. Giselle, amused, knowing. Elaine, judgmental. Jocelyn steps out framed like a romance heroine. The final beat where she sees the witnesses and smiles, that's the moment readers split. Some will think, oh no, some will think, oh gods. Both reactions are correct. One subtle trick to keep from becoming farce, give Jocelyn one true line. Just one, something like a moment of genuine loneliness, a cracked admission that isn't manipulative, a quiet line before or after the hysteria. That's what keeps her from being a caricature. The reader should be able to think if things had gone slightly differently, and then watch her ruin it. Ugh. Melodrama is not a flaw here. It's a genre. It's genre aligned and character honest. You're writing a romantasy, a mystery of perception, a story about people mistaking closeness for truth. Jocelyn is not too much. She is exactly enough, and that's why she's dangerous. When you're ready, I can help you tune the scene line by line for tonal balance, sanity check where readers will laugh versus ache, or help you place a later echo that reframes the scene entirely. You're not overindulging. You're using the right tool. Okay. Let's see, and then in the notes, Arista has gone to shore. It's Jocelyn, and she looks concerned. She pulls him into her and Galen's room, saying she needs his help urgently. Okay. Heard to tear after the apothecary when suddenly a hand seized his elbow and pulled him back. It was a fine, delicate claw and not overly forceful, but the familiarity of the shape reminded him of Arista's first touch, and he felt helpless to resist it. smell littered today. Littered. Ha! And I'm trying to say her lace top hung loosely enough to reveal the shape of her nipple without saying shape of her nipple. Um, I want to take a little break here, honestly. It's truth be told, I am kind of accessing a part of my own marriage at this point. Like, all of these characters are mirrors. That's how you make them real. That's how you make them come off the page. That's how you actually give them life. That's how you make them able to speak for themselves. They're mirrors. And I hit 1,000 words, so that's not bad. I want another, 1,500 for this chapter at least. But yeah, I know I should just push past it. But this melodrama is. I'm trying to make something funny out of something really tragic and sad. And this is kind of touching my own life a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break, take a step back from this. At precisely 1,000 words. So that's some mastery, that's some control. That's it's a touch of sadness. Like I said, this hits me like it should. Let's go ahead and pop that in. This is working very well tonally, and importantly, you're still on the right side of suggestive rather than explicit. It reads as threatened intimacy, not consummated sexuality, which is exactly what the scene needs. I'll give you focus craft feedback, not rewriting for it, broken into what's working, where the tighten or redirect this maximum tragic comic effect, and a few surgical suggestions you can apply while drafting forward. What's working exceptionally well, the room as psychological space. This is doing heavy lifting, books and scrolls, half-scribbled notes, floor strewn with clothing. It immediately tells us Galen's mind is fragmented. Jocelyn lives in disorder. Garrett has stepped into a private chaos. You've made the room a trap before Jocelyn even speaks. That's excellent. Jocelyn's physical framing is intentionally unsettling. The line is doing what you want, sealing it with an ominous click. That single word ominous tilts the scene away from romance and into danger without Garrett realizing it yet. Her presentation is overtly sexual, but your POV choice keeps it from becoming erotic. Garrett notices details, clinically, almost alarmed. Good. The emotional whiplash is the core of her character. This is very strong. Her manic expression instantly softened, too quickly, too practiced. That line alone tells the reader she has done this before. She knows which face to wear. The softness is a tool. You don't need to explain Jocelyn. You're showing her. I don't think he likes me at all. This line is perfect. It's childish, devastating, self-centered, plausibly sincere. It's also the exact line that invites Garrett's sympathy and seals his fate. Where he should adjust lightly. These are refinements, not fixes. Sexual description, pull back just half a step. You're right on the edge of the tip from tipping from uncomfortable into male gaze explicit. The sentence is the closest to crossing the line, causing her pert nipples to rise and fall under a silken top. You don't need nipples at all for this to land. Why? Because the power of the scene is not her sexuality, it's her weaponized vulnerability. You could keep the effect by redirecting to Garrett's discomfort, for example, fabric clinging, the intimacy of breath, how little room she's giving him. If you keep it as is, some readers will briefly switch into erotic mode, and that weakens the unease. Clarify Garrett's internal alarm one beat earlier. This is already present, but you can strengthen it by one sentence of interior thought. Garrett looked around the room again in a panic. It's a perfect place for the fleeting thought like this was wrong, this was not why she brought him here, he should not be alone with her. One line, not a paragraph, it grounds the reader firmly in his moral center before she destabilizes it. Jocelyn's line about Galen is excellent, let it hang, this is a strong ending beat, he rarely sleeps with me, don't immediately explain or elaborate, let Garrett react internally first, sympathy, awkwardness, guilt, responsibility that isn't his. The longer the silence after that line, the heavier it becomes. Tone calibration, tragic and funny. You're already achieving this, but here's how to preserve it as you continue. Jocelyn believes she is in a romance scene. Garrett believes he is in a crisis. The reader sees both at once. Comedy comes from misalignment, not jokes. If the tragedy comes from the fact that if Garrett were a worse man, this might end cleanly. Final reassurance. You've not lost the plot, you have not bloated the story, you are writing a character-driven complication that advances the mystery, deepens Galen, tests Garrett's integrity, keeps Arista plausibly dangerous by absence. The scene belongs exactly where it is. When you're ready, next good steps would be tightening the rest of the scene for escalation pacing, calibrating the hallway aftermath, or tuning Galen's unrelated line for maximum quiet devastation. You're doing real controlled work here, even on a drained day. What's drained? Woke up. What? Let's add the final touches. It's working already. The physical comedy is subtle, the emotional manipulation is overt, and Garrett's instinctive decency is doing tragic labor for her. You got the engine right. What you're tuning now is resonance. I'll break this into 3 parts. While your instincts are correct, specific lines the alien could say. Tragic, funny, or on read, micro edits to Jocelyn paragraph to sharpen both tones. You're right to let this be tragic and funny. What makes the scene land hard? Jocelyn is sincere in her pain. Garrett is sincere in his kindness. The structure of the moment is wrong. That's where the comedy comes from, not jokes, misalignment. Readers who take Jocelyn at face value feel sympathy. Readers who notice the trap feel dread. Readers on a reread feel grief. That's exactly the layering you want. Galen comments that seem unrelated but age badly. You're circling the right ecological insect space. The trick is the line should describe harm without using moral language. Here are several options grouped by flavor. Pick the one that best matches Galen's disassociation with style. Cohabitation that looks mutual but isn't. These are excellent if Galen is intellectually avoiding his own suffering. Some species nest together because it's efficient, not because they benefit equally. One just happens to be harder to dislodge. Ooh, I like that. There are parasites that don't feed on their host, they just live where the warmth is. In nature, proximity often gets mistaken for partnership. I like a combination of those two things. There are parasites that don't feed on their host, they just live where the warmth is. In nature, proximity often gets mistaken for partnership. Ooh, a surprising number of animals don't choose mates so much as fail to escape them. Mate selection assumes choice. A lot of species reproduce simply because resistance costs more energy than compliance. Some pair bonds form under stress and dissolve as soon as conditions improve. Okay, we'll go down to the end of this one. I like some of these. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking some of these ideas because before I went to bed last night, I was going into ChatGPT and I did all my bullet points and typed it out this time instead of using the notebook. I'm kind of proud of myself for typing it out because I just typed out a sloppy paragraph and then I broke that into bullet points. And I took those bullet points and I put them into ChatGPT saying I want bullet points for this. And it gave me another listing that kind of like reformatted things a little bit. So I have that pasted into the same document too underneath my own notes. And then I was talking with it about this line because my big dialogues in this is the first one that I wrote this morning, which was Garrett's internal monologue. Because this is the first time we've had a chance to be alone with Garrett as the reader since book one. Book one, we spent a lot of time with Garrett inside his head, thinking and rethinking and processing things. Since we've gotten to this book, it's all been spectacle. So we haven't had the opportunity to like really tap into our main character and see what he's going through his eyes. So this first page, a couple pages, page and a half, is our chance as the reader to get back in touch with Garrett and see where he's at emotionally. And we introduce Sathrael for the very first time, like first glimmer of him. Now we've got Jocelyn, and Jocelyn has to do a whole speech, and it's tragic because she really believes the melodrama that she's creating, and she's got to be just over the top. Next level, just ridiculousness, and Garrett is trying to be comforting and nice and gentlemanly, and that ultimately makes things worse for her because if he's being this gentle, then he must actually love me. Like, this is where it would end so differently if he were a worse character. But because he's as good as he is, it's tragic. And then he steps out and he passes by Galen, and Galen just needs one line, but that one line needs to be, it needs to seem like it's just unrelated, but on a reread or on reflection, to be absolutely devastating. Um, so that's where I'm working, and I find it so much better when you know where the chapter is going to end, rather than just ending on some random point. That makes chapter division difficult. Like, are you really ending on a point that creates enough tension that the reader is going to want to read the next chapter? Whereas when you know, I try to know what the last sentence, what the last line of the book is going to be, so that people want to read the next book. And you want to do that with your chapters too. So I'm trying to come up with a line for Galen that seems like dissociative nonsense. That just seems like babble, but is directly related to what's going on and gives you an idea. Like, even though he's not letting himself feel his feelings because he's that type of character, it indicates what he's processing internally. So I like the combination of these two lines. And right now I'm just cutting, pasting, and putting these into my outline and my note so I have them. So when I get to that, I can pick and choose because I'm trusting I'm going to be far enough in this chat that I'm not going to want to scroll back up because that's just a pain in the ass. I like this one too. Quiet, funny, brutal later. A surprising number of animals don't choose mates so much as fail to escape them. And this is something where I like this line because this is something that Galen could be saying in reference to himself, but it also kind of mirrors the first book and what Garrett went through with Arista. Mate selection assumes choice. A lot of species reproduce simply because resistance costs more energy than compliance. And that's another one. I can combine that with the one up above it, where this one goes first, and then the surprising number of animals don't choose mates so much as fail to escape them. I like this one too. Like it's giving me some decent lines to work with. But we'll see when I actually get to the end there. Sexual cannibalism. Use only one. Too much gets loud. In some insects, the male survives mating only if the female isn't very hungry. I like that. Because yeah, I have a line where I'm planning on her mentioning that he's more interested in insects and mushrooms than he is in her. Kind of like that. Micro edits to your Jocelyn paragraph. No bloat, just sharpening. Here's your passage with surgical tweaks. Nothing added, just pressure points emphasized. I kind of like this little tweak. If you want one extra knife twist without adding length, instinctively Garrett wrapped his arms over her shoulders too gently to stop anything. So I like that change that it's offering. So I'll go ahead and pop that in because it breaks up my paragraphs for me. That's the main thing that I use for it, for knowing where to put my breaks. And this, the M dash and too gently to stop anything. That I like quite a bit. So put that in and boom, too gentle. To steady her shaking, too gently to stop anything. It's a little run on, but it's good. It adds flavor. Like I said, yeah, this hurts. This hurts a little bit, because there is a touch of personal stuff. Like I definitely see aspects of myself in Galen. Originally, I designed Galen. The concept was to make fun of one of my brother-in-laws. And somewhere along the line, partially because of a suggestion from a viewer, I decided to go ahead and make him autistic. And in doing so, he's become a mirror for some of my own autistic struggles, in particular, some of my own autistic struggles in my marriage. And so I've reached a point where it's gotten a little bit personal for me now. I'm and to do good writing, um, I understand allegory as you got to be willing to sort of harakiri yourself. Like you gotta cut your guts open and be willing to spill them on the page. And I'm doing that in this scene, but also trying to make fun of it. And that's tough. I'm trying to make light of something that honestly is pretty tragic in my marriage. Like, I hate to admit this, but I think in the 20 years I've been married, I've spent more nights sleeping apart from my wife than I have with her. And I really hate that. But we hit a point where I couldn't sleep next to her anymore because I was too angry, I was too hurt by the things that we were going through, and it tore us apart. I spent years sleeping on the couch, sleeping in the living room, sleeping in the basement. And now that we're out of that house, away from the source of all that trauma that we went through, I feel so lonely sleeping without my wife in the bed. I miss her so damn much. Every night I fall asleep and there's just this empty space that I find myself reaching out for her and wishing she was there. And it's tragic and it hurts. And I made her go through that for years because of my stubbornness and my unwillingness to forgive and to work through things and to get help when I needed it. I should have gone to therapy. I should have gone to church. I should have prayed about it. So yeah, this is tragic. I I am Garrett. I am Galen in this scene. I am Jocelyn in this scene. Like I am all of these characters, and I'm gonna take a little break because that realization is making me ache. So I need to process a little bit, and then come back and try to make this tragedy that is my life funny. So, thank you all, anyone who's watching. I appreciate it. Sorry for the melodrama, but that's exactly what I'm writing right now is melodrama. So I'll be back later. Try and get this done. Alright, so peace out, Twitch, Kick,